Hello everyone, welcome. I'm Dr. Dan Wang from School of Hotel and Tourism Management at the Hong Kong Polytechnic University. Welcome to today's live session. I'm the subject lecturer of Innovation and Technology Management in Tourism and Hospitality. I know there are a lot of learners currently stay online and you are from different parts of the world. Thank you for your patience and efforts to overcome the time differences. I know for some of you are very early, some of you very late, but you come to the right session. We prepared many wonderful things for you. So please stay with us in the coming 1 hour. All right, so at the very beginning, I would like to briefly introduce again about this subject, because I know today's live session also open to the public. For someone who haven't got a chance to register this subject, you will have a chance in later of this year. So this course or this subject actually is one component of our MicroMaster program available on the platform of edX. And our MicroMaster program is about international hospitality management. And my course, the Information Technology Management, is one subject out of the 4. Okay, this is a 8-week subject. Every week we will deliver content on different topics. For example, regarding tourist experience design based on technology innovation, about the organizational decision makings on technology adoption. Also, we bring up the topics regarding big data and also digital transformation. So currently, actually, we already released all 8 weeks content. And including our guest lecturer, Mr. Anand Jindal, his lecture regarding hotel revenue management, driving success through technology and innovation. Today, it's our honor to have Mr. Anand Jindal join us. Mr. Anand Jindal is currently a group director of revenue management and distributions at Wharf Hotels. All right, so I guess most of you already reviewed Mr. Jindal's lecture on the hotel revenue management, this topic. So, but let me, for those who haven't get access to that lecture, Mr. Jindal and I here, we would like to briefly summarize the main points from that lecture. So we set up a common foundation for us, for our learners to bring up questions for more discussion later today. Okay, then first of all, I will bring up more background about Mr. Jindal, because then you will probably understand like what skills he has to stand in today's management position, and why he think like information technology or data-related knowledge are so important to support a role like revenue management director. Mr. Jindal graduated from the very famous School of Hotel Administration in India, and for sure he is a top student at school, because like he hold the top positions in hotel management. Also, he is a very active leader. I guess showed leadership in early of his school life. He has been the president for the literary club and the swimming team for years. And also, Mr. Jindal is a lifelong learner. And he attended the different kind of certifications, earned different kind of certifications through online courses. For example, he is certified in hospitality business acumen from the HTM540x, and also he got certificate in revenue management dynamic pricing. Furthermore, he keep the trends with the data science, and he learned Python from the online course. This is a brief summary of Mr. Jindal's career path. So you can see Mr. Jindal spent his career in different kind of hotel groups. First of all, he started his career as a management trainee in ITC hotels, then stayed there for 4 years in India. And I guess this is the first place you grow up to gain more management skills and also knowledge regarding the operation, right? And then Mr. Jingdou moved to Hyatt and then started to extend his career path to different countries, right? Then he started with India and then moved to UAE and Qatar. So to focus on, I guess it's more about started with the revenue management already at that time. Okay, and this experience brought him multicultural experience. Then he moved to Starwood and Marriott as a cluster director and senior director, later on focused on data analytics. So he worked in Thailand and Hong Kong, and then since last year he moved to the currently Wharf Hotels as a group director of revenue management and distributions, working in Hong Kong. So that's why we're so lucky that to have him today on site with us in the studio in Hong Kong. So in Mr. Jingdou's lecture at the very beginning, before he jumped into the discussion regarding the information technology, actually he briefly recapped, okay, nowadays if you want to be a sales director or revenue management director in a hotel group, what are the skills he thinks is necessary? First of all, about sales, like everyone knows like the role of sales or duty of the sales. So persuasion as a foremost qualification for good sales, I mean, I guess this is take for granted, but more like not easy to be a sales. Now you need to have a more ground view of the business, and you need to be able to wrap up a story, to tell a story in a logic way, and also to be the with executive look and also more customer focus. Oh well, this more looks like lots of like soft skills, right? But actually, if you move up, or nowadays we know that the sales job, I guess later Mr. Jingdou will cover more that nowadays if you are doing distribution or sales, like you are supported by many information technology and many like systems, right? So soft skills alone won't be enough. So if you move to the revenue management area, or move to a more senior level of sales, or I guess marketing, including distribution, right, you require some hard skill as well. So that's why Mr. Jingdou summarized that, well, you still need to tell a story, you still need to how to make things, get things done, get the deal, signed, but meanwhile, you should be able to understand the management information systems. Like for example, one qualification is about systems savvy. Like you should be able to understand how each system supports the business operation, and even more how different kind of systems they are connected with each other and become offer a more integrated solution for the business. And also nowadays data become the life, become the blood for many business, right? So you, I mean, at this level or at this position, you need to be more data orientation. It's not tuition driven decision making, but data driven decision making. So this brings to the, I mean, the more important part about really the, I would like to say the core of the presentation regarding, okay, well, then in order to move to this level of management, okay, based on data, based on technology, what's the role of information technology nowadays play in at least the section of revenue management or marketing? I would like to invite Mr. Jingdou to go through more slides with you to recap the main points in the slides.
Thank you, Dr. Wong, and thank you very much to our learners who've taken the time to join us from so many different parts of the world. So good morning, good evening, good afternoon, based on wherever you're based. Okay. So now that we've understood the talents that will be required for success, let's look at the second part of the presentation, which will help us uncover some IT-based solutions that are available in most hotels. We will also see how you can connect the dots and gain commercial advantage out of these systems. So, so moving on to the next slide. So in this slide you can see all the systems on the left hand side of the screen. I will start with the first one, which is the CRS, or Central Reservation System. So this system houses all the data of a hotel typically, and it serves three core functions. First is that reservations are generally keyed into it, so it serves as a repository of all reservations transactions data. It distributes availability rates and inventory to third party platforms, and also serves as a platform for data which is harnessed by other business intelligence systems. Second is PMS, or Property Management System. This is a property based tool which is predominantly utilized by the front desk of the hotel to enable transactional processes like check-in, check-out, and it also consists of information that is captured upon check-in, for example the nationality of the guests and the stay preferences. This can be of immense use for any customer relationship management initiative that the hotel is running, also to understand the guests' likes and dislikes, and of course it assists the hotel and the company in general to build loyalty programs. Next is a system known as RMS, or Revenue Management System. So most large organizations at present have a revenue management system in place, which uses typically complicated or less complicated, depending upon the context, a time series based approach which is used to predict demand and also assist the hotel to set optimal prices and restrictions to take advantage of that demand forecast. This is generally a very sophisticated tool that requires specialized training and is used by most revenue managers for strategic planning and also for business intelligence purposes. It interestingly accommodates competitor rate shopping data, which makes it so much more powerful in my opinion. Next, we will see the Sales and Catering System, which is the primary system of usage by sales associates that enables maintaining a database of accounts and sales calls history, and is used for groups business segment management. It is usually connected with the revenue management system for group price evaluation, which is a process of understanding the cost of displaced transient revenue and then coming up with a group rate suggestion accordingly. Moving on to the next slide. Then there are other secondary systems like an RFP management tool, which is used to contract corporate business. There are reporting platforms which may vary from hotel to hotel, and in simple terms really these platforms enable insights which can answer some of the questions which are used for decision making of let's say a marketing dollar investment, choice of initiatives or promotions, and the biggest value derived out of these platforms is that they answer the question of what is it that is required to be changed to help the hotel earn more revenue or to reduce costs. There is generally an above property data warehouse, which we will cover in more detail in the next few slides. So this is how a typical systems architecture of a hotel looks like. This chart looks complicated, but if you look at it closely, it is not. The orange line represents the systems that have a two-way interface, and the green line represents a connectivity which is one-way. So you see how the CRS is in the heart of this architecture and is distributing data feeds to the PMS, sales and catering system, the revenue management system, and also feeding third party platforms like OTAs and GDS and the organization's own branded website. You see, there is a one-way feed to a data warehouse, which then feeds a business intelligence tool, which is used for advanced analytics. It could also be that each of these individual systems have their own enterprise reporting solution, which is used for analytics pertaining to the data of that system in question. Now we will look at external data feeds. So it is not uncommon to overlay internal data with external data for more accuracy. After accommodating the external indicators such as those listed on this slide, for example, STR, airline data, external subscriptions, TripAdvisor data, so on and so forth, hotel organizations can become more strategic and competitive in their initiatives. For example, if there is a price spurt of any competitor that the rate shopping engine captures, it could mean an opportunity for the hotel to increase its own rates, or let's say an improvement in search volumes from a particular source market may be an indicator to increased demand levels that are coming up, and may offer opportunities to run a geo-targeted campaign. TripAdvisor data is another example that may be an indicator of the quality levels of the hotel and the competition, and may just offer an opportunity to the hotel to change its products or services to meet the expectations of the guests. And let's say airline seat capacity or reservation volume could be used as an indicator of upcoming increase or decrease in demand for hotel rooms, because you see, the lodging business and the airline business are kind of interconnected. So how to utilize these external data feeds to our advantage and refine the forecast is really of extreme importance, especially in depressed demand conditions such as those of 2020. It becomes that much more meaningful. Moving on, I will now cover how to work with IT partners, because it's important to understand what factors to keep in mind when engaging with vendors or IT partners for new system purchase considerations or even enhancements of existing systems. So hotels should answer the basic question before engaging in any dialogue, which is how will this intervention deliver a better business outcome for me, and think long term regarding the capabilities of the system for connecting with other systems. Is the system user friendly? What are the training modules that come with the system? What are the reporting and the dashboarding functionalities that comes along with the system? I think it is also important to have a fair trial period where you can test this system for a single hotel or for a small group of hotels before expanding it to the entire organization. Mm-hmm. So having a short duration of a beta test phase really helps when purchasing a new system. And it also gives a fair opportunity for the management team to really see whether this system will work well for them and the users. Mm-hmm. Okay, hotel organization should ensure that there is material value addition at the end of this deployment, and not just superficial improvement in existing processes, which would make the effort really useless. The new system should also make the lives of the people who work for the hotel easier. That's the whole objective of getting a new machine, mm-hmm. that machines reduce human effort and not increase human effort. Okay, and also it's very important that leaders manage change anxiety and have a culture of innovation, which we will discuss in a separate section. So moving on to the next slide. So on this slide we will change our lens slightly and look at a more complex setup of an above property data science team or an analytics team. The talents required here for success are different as stated on this slide, and I will go through them one by one. So the first one is data wrangling, which requires cleaning, organizing and making the data usable. Experience in database systems and sometimes some coding skills are also required at this stage. But here again it depends upon the context and the size and the volume of data that is required. If it is a small database, then really advanced coding is not required. Anybody who's good at Excel can wrangle data depending upon the business needs. And the next one, which is my favorite, is business understanding, which is understanding how the business works. So experience in the domain particularly helps over here. In my experience, hiring a data science team which have had no domain experience can lead to difficulties because they may not understand the context fully. So having a person within the data science team, and let's call him the project manager for now, okay, is very important. And it's important that this project manager is from a hotel background or have spent at least a few years working in a hotel, so that they can translate the hotel business needs to these data scientists and engineers. Okay. Next one is storytelling and design, where I think there is a lot of opportunity for revenue management leaders and also data science engineers and data scientists to improve. This includes the entire domain of stakeholder engagement, understand use cases and create impactful presentations and visuals. So it's not just important to understand the customer problem, it's equally important to come up with solutions and being able to articulate those solutions in a manner and in a language that the user understands. Okay. Next is analysis, which is finding meaning in data, deep dive studies and correlation analysis. So someone having an experience in statistics is ideally suited for this role. But again, it depends on the context. If you don't need to do advanced analysis, a simple growth over last year or growth over last week or comparison to your comp set should give you that that output that would help you make that business decision, right? So while this is a required skill, the level of complexity and robustness may change depending upon the context and the business need. Okay. Next one is project management, which is managing multiple competing agendas, keeping projects on track and focused on business outcomes. And this is, I think more and more business leaders are realizing the value of project management these days, because really in modern day business environments, you get work done through and with other people. So the ability to manage competing agendas, manage multiple work streams all at once is really a skill set that is required for running data science teams. We'll move on to the next slide, which is we'll move on to the next slide, which is which talks about key business questions. So with limited time and resources available, it is also important for project managers to prioritize high impact projects which will have a strong dollar impact, and stall pipe dreams or inconsequential curiosities which have less value. So this is a good model which was published in Harvard Business Review of a key business questions grid, which I will explain on this slide. So on X, and this is this slide, if you see, has 4 quadrants. The top right quadrant is high value KBQ or key business question, which means that it has a high dollar impact, and the ability to activate this this initiative is relatively good. So examples of this in our present context could be staycation packages, introduce grab and go options, or partner with online food delivery partners for more more dollars coming into the hotel. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, we have curiosities which are inconsequential pursuits that don't present clear path to activation. So these are difficult to execute, at the same time they have less dollar value. For example, a discount campaign when the destination country is under high COVID restrictions may not be able to generate a lot of improved value to the hotel. So this is how typically a data science team or an analytics team would pick up projects to pursue and discard those that are not really adding value. Okay, we'll move on to the next section, which is talent mapping. So in most modern organizations, a combination of skills that we discussed in the previous few slides works. So you can see on this slide, a manager typically would need a strong business understanding and project management skills, while data wrangling could be discounted for a manager, because that is something a data engineer would do in a data science team. A statistician, for example, will have to be extremely good at analysis skill, and really project management and storytelling skills would be less required in their role. And a data engineer, as I have mentioned in the past, would be stronger on data wrangling and not so much, and his strength is not that much required in areas of analysis or storytelling. But it's really important for each of these members of the team to have an executive overview of the skill sets required for other departments, so that they can work together and in tandem. And this is represented by this very nice picture of a relay, and you will notice that the runner who's passing the baton to the next teammate runs into their segment a little bit, and similarly the receiver of the baton starts running even before the baton is passed. This is so that the team can maintain a good inertia or a good momentum, and they do not lose speed with an abrupt stop and start. Now transform this analogy into a business context or in an organizational setup with multiple departments. Most job descriptions should be made, in my opinion, in a way that there is a reasonable amount of overlap, rather than a watertight compartmentalization of roles and responsibility. That generally works better, in my opinion, and I do hope that I have made my point clear with this example. Okay, we'll move on to the next slide, which is your vision of success. And my advice to all of you would be to start off by answering this question of what does success look like. And here on this slide I have used the analogy of a data science team. Some points are here, and this is just for reference. Success could mean a different thing in your business context, okay? But this is the first point, really, to have a vision and to answer the question as a team, what does success look like for my department? And then work backwards from there and embark on projects and take initiatives that help you get there. So the blueprint of an analytics team is here on this slide, and see the ring at a 5 o'clock position, which is cross-functional teams should collaborate well. I think this is where most organizations are focusing these days, on how to take advantage of the cross-functional dynamics, especially in difficult times such as the COVID-19 crisis. Let's see that. Let's see whether this model will help you get onto the right track of achieving success through technology and innovation. I think that's all that I had to share for the moment. I will now take a pause and take any questions that the learners may have or may have indicated during this session.
Thank you, Mr. Jingdong. I think for the wonderful recap, right? So from the points delivered just now by Mr. Jingdong, we understand that nowadays why the talents or the qualifications we required for no matter it's a revenue management director or marketing director, why not only soft skills, but you need some hard skills in terms of data science, in terms of the management information systems, which all those qualifications will help you to navigate in the business land. All right, so we have actually received more than 40 questions plus the questions here which were posted online from yesterday. We have more than 50 questions from the learners. So I mean, we cannot cover all of them, so we will just go through and see. We will try our best to cover. Okay, right. First question. I guess is a very serious learner because he or she watched your video in advance. They said in the video you mentioned that hotels have to go back to the old-fashioned style to forecasting rather than machine-based forecasting. You mentioned that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
Great.
yes.
So I guess they need more elaboration.
Yes, very good question, and thank you for asking me that question, whosoever has asked it. Most hotel companies notice that relying too much on machine-based algorithms that benchmarked the forecasting science based on last year's trends is no longer usable.
Oh.
Yeah, because trends are changing so fast that the benchmarking comparison window is changing rapidly from last year to, let's say, last week. So revenue management applications that were able to adapt and adjust to this change have somewhat corrected their forecasting methodology, but there is of course a segment of hotels that are relying more on their manual forecast using simple pickup matrix of last week's pickup and using that as a reference point to predict the upcoming 2 weeks or 3 weeks of business demand or leisure demand coming their way. It is important to make adjustments after your baseline forecast and also accommodate some internal and some external reference class predictors to refine your forecast, and also to make adjustments for noise in the forecast, which is essentially the day of the week patterns and swings or the impact of a big event that's happening in your city. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think no matter how many data we have, right, the data need a master. I think need a human, right? They need a coach basically. Yes. So because the data they cannot produce a decision for you, but they can facilitate human being to make a better decision. I guess this is the ultimate purpose we want. It's a better decision rather than it's just something just follow the data. Because thinking about this pandemic, right? Like it comes like in the past 100 years we don't have that. Then your previous data, your historical data, somehow they maybe cannot help you really predict what will happen in the next year, right? So we need some human intelligence input to make more adjustment to fit into the reality. I guess this is the answer. Yes. Yeah,
I couldn't agree more with Dr. Wong over here. I guess what's also important for the learners to remember is that have a humble mindset and don't hesitate to change your forecast as and when the facts change. So gone are the days when hotels used to rely on a frozen monthly aggregated forecast. Forecasts are changing rapidly on a daily basis for the month. Okay.
Okay, great. Okay, I guess I would like to bring up one more question which has been mentioned by several learners already. It's about the career path. Okay, you had a wonderful career path. We all see that. So the question is about, okay, if now they would like to work in the hospitality industry, then there may be with some operation background, then is the any formal training with the data science or with the management information system are necessary for them to move on in this industry?
I think again the answer depends on the context and the stage of the career the user is at. Most of the job that I do right now, I didn't really train for it while in college. You know, so most of my learning happened really at the workplace. But having said that, it's important to acquire certifications or do courses in MIS management or systems training, because they then help you shorten the learning curve.
Yes.
You know,
yeah,
you are on an accelerated track if you have done this course in advance and kind of get a heads up when your performance is being compared to those to that of your peers. So I guess it's important to keep on updating your learning and improving oneself, but it's not mandatory for success. One learns at the workplace more, in my opinion, and the external courses and self-learning should happen in tandem simultaneously.
Yes, I agree. As I mean, if learners, you paid attention to my first several slides, right? You know that Mr. Jingdo is a lifelong learner. He keep updated with the cutting edge knowledge with online courses. So I guess as Mr. Jingdo just mentioned that I mean, your efforts to learn more things to shorten your learning curve at work. Of course, you learn most practical things at work, but learning at school or in some online, certification training can shorten that curve.
Absolutely.
That's a great suggestion, I guess. Okay, another question I think by going through the questions online, also here mentioned by a few people, is that how do you have any suggestions for the small independent hotels? Because what happens is that, okay, you always stay with a big group because they have resources and they can rely on the big data, you can quickly pick up the data-driven decision making. But for the small and medium-sized hotel business, they don't have much resources and they don't have much expertise to quickly pick up the data-driven strategy. So I mean, do you have any suggestions for that sector?
Yeah, well, yes. It's not mandatory for hotels to have a very sophisticated system. A simple export of your transactions out of the PMS on an Excel spreadsheet can provide you with data points that can help decision making. You don't always have to subscribe for a rate shopping engine. You can go on to the websites of the individual hotels and learn about their pricing, and that can then help you make a pricing decision sometimes, right? So it's again context based and up to the revenue leader or the manager on what data points and level of sophistication to choose. More data and more technology does not always improve decision making. Sometimes less is more, and I have always maintained that having a simpler, cleaner approach which confirms logic and reduces bias is the best way forward. So my advice to these small hotel companies or even to an individual property would be: start small, start simple, but start solid, start somewhere.
Yes. Okay, all right. So next question, maybe I will take it over. We'll let you take a rest first. So I saw another question online. Is about, is there any other strategy or actions we should do besides just build a very effective hotel website in order to compete with the OTA? I saw it somewhere online, the question. So actually, I mean, in our lecture or in our subject content, there is one case study about Hotel Icon. Hotel Icon is a 5-star hotel running by the a professional team hired by the School of Hotel Management, School of Tourism Hotel Management. And it's a teaching hotel, but it's a completely commercial hotel, in order to provide a practical field for teachers and students as well. So Hotel Icon is a single hotel, it's not belong to any group. So in order to compete with the business on the OTA, they rely on themselves to get more direct booking. So the strategies they use is not only they have a very good website, because we know that very good website can help with your search engine rank. That's the first. And second, if you have a user come to visit that website, a good navigation experience on there, and also they applied some cookies to help people grab people's attention to figure out which market segmentation that website visitor belong to. Then they provide a customized recommendation. For example, if they figure out you are more belong to family market, they will start to customize the recommendation regarding family related products.
Interesting.
Yeah, so there's many ways to, not only build up a website, but your website should be good enough to retain the website visitors. And also another strategy is a good social media strategy. So how you can direct people from the search engine directly to your website rather than direct them to the OTA website. And also from your social media channels, for example, Facebook channels or WeChat channels or any other particular channels, how you can retain people with you rather than direct them to the another general search and then lead them to make a booking on the OTAs. So yeah, there's you can register to this subject and then take a look at that case study. It will have more insights there. Okay. All right. So next, if we move on, next question is, I guess many people curious about what should we do after COVID-19 or in the post-COVID-19 era, right? Then one question from learners or several learners is that now currently you're working with the Wharf Hotel. So in your knowledge or based on your knowledge working with other hotel group as well, then what is happening, after COVID-19, particularly in terms of the market segment? How the IT technology can help more with the coordination among marketing, revenue management, and the sales and distribution? Yeah, I guess this question is more general. It's a bit general, but in the direction that after the COVID-19, right? Lots of things changed. Then should the way we do revenue management or marketing being completely changed, or what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for the question. And I think having a data-based approach is required irrespective of a COVID-19 crisis or not. So in my opinion, there were many digital initiatives or database initiatives that hotel companies had. They were fast-tracked during this crisis because it's a saying that never let a good crisis go to waste. So hotel leaders and many hotel associates had more spare time to be able to come up with new projects and new metrics to compare performance. And from the perspective of a strategy, you can break down any strategy, not just hotel strategy, into 4 buckets. First is discovery, which is where you need data to see what's performing, what's not performing, where is the gap area. Second is strategy formulation, which is the creation of the strategy, the core strategy itself. How will I fill this gap? If we need an X number of consumers, if we need 1,000 more website visits, or does our ADR need to increase by $10, we again need data for this process as well, right? The next process is stakeholder alignment, which is convincing all the stakeholders that would be impacted as a result of that strategy to embrace that strategy. And for that, again, you need data. You would be able to convince them with raw logic and with data. When you actually show them, if we do this, X will change, X may change to Y. So again, at this process, you need data. And the last step is execution, which is actually putting the strategy into motion and measuring it for performance improvement. And here again, we need data. So I think we need data at all steps of a strategy execution, with or without the crisis. And really, you can't do without data these days, in my humble opinion. There is immense disruption happening in the industry in many areas. So, so I guess a database approach will help irrespective.
Yeah. Thank you for the very good, very logically organized suggestions. I mean, I agree with you. Like in Chinese, we say, crisis come together with opportunities.
Absolutely.
So then I guess the pandemic caused lots of challenges, but also meantime, if you can come up a good solution to solve the challenge, then become opportunities for business. Absolutely. Right? So as we say, COVID-19 already pushed lots of digital transformation progress faster than we can expect it. Even the whole society has been transformed faster than we expected. Absolutely. So yeah, similar. I mean, if you ask, no matter what will happen with the revenue management area, what will happen with market segmentation, similar logic applies, right? Okay, and I also remember like one slide you mentioned about how you should work with IT partners, right? And so one learner asked that, what type of question do you need to ask IT vendors to ensure the compatibility with your current system and allow for future development? Do you have had any experience to handle this? I mean, or in terms of the, for example, revenue management area, I know that there's lots of companies are running this business to design the information systems or algorithm to support, right? The support different companies, hotel companies to make a better strategy, right? Yeah. So then probably based on my limited knowledge regarding industry, is that the industry have to update their vendors time by time, right? So how you make decisions to to select the vendors or to select the systems? Yeah.
Thank you for the question. And I think the learner wants to know how do we ensure compatibility with our current systems. So there is this technology known as API, and typically when we purchase a new system, the developer has to do some testing to ensure whether the APIs that they have built with the existing systems of the hotels are actually working. And I guess effort is required from both parties, from the party that is introducing a new system and the existing system provider, which will provide an interface with the new system. So and I'm most recently involved in a project within Wharf Hotels where we are changing our PMS.
Okay.
So so the PMS is interconnected with several other systems, and we have to actually work with the vendors of these other systems to ensure that they have the right API feed, and this API connectivity is tested and certified before we can make a decision to purchase this new application or this new system. So I guess users have to ask the IT leaders to provide a confirmation whether the API connectivity indeed works and is tested. And also I would recommend that do not overreact. Test it out over one hotel or two hotels before giving a green light for the entire organization to make sure that not just the two systems connect with each other, but also it is stable and give the desired output that the user was looking for.
Yeah, thank you. Very good example. I guess nowadays for the no matter revenue management director or marketing director, I guess you must have lots of chance need to deal with the IT department, right?
Yes.
So to work together with them to make sure like the thing or system you would like to use or adopted, then whether it can be compatible with other systems in the organization. Absolutely. And also how about the future, and also in our class lectures we discussed the problems regarding whether a company should move from traditional PMS to the cloud-based PMS, and not necessarily every company fit into that movement, right? Because while you move from the traditional server to the cloud-based solution, there's a lot of actually barriers there you need to fix first in terms of operation, in terms of implementation of the whole system in the organization, in terms of training.
Absolutely.
So yeah, there's a lot of consideration to think when you consider about the technology adoption problem. It's not just a one-off adoption. It's usually you need a process, you need a buffer, period to allow it running.
Yeah. Our approach has been to have a critical path, a milestone-based critical path, that conversion minus 90 days, this should happen. Conversion minus 60 days, all the rate plans need to get created, for example.
Yeah, perfect.
Conversion minus 30 days, those rate plans should be mapped. Conversion minus 15 days, we should ensure that the availability and rate feed is working both ways. And then again, post-conversion, all the testing, make new bookings, cancellations, modification, and test whether the interface is working correctly, so on and so forth. So as you rightly mentioned, Dr. Wong, it's a very detailed process, and we need to have again good project management skills to be able to deal with specialists on both ends.
Thank you, thank you. All right, so time flies. Well, I guess we will only have one more question here. Let me check the board. Okay. I guess for some questions, Mr. Jingdou's lecture already covered, so we will not go through it more here. Okay. How does it type? For okay, all right. So one question is about external data. All right, I think this is interesting. Worth of discussion, because we all know that internal we have lots of data and we have the right to use it. But however, probably we should consider some external data.
Absolutely.
So how do you, at least with your experience, any external data you have been deployed for the business?
Yeah, most typically, most hotel systems use the rate shopping engine, which is integrated with the revenue management application. So that's an external data feed that comes in. That is the pricing of your competitors, which is then used in tandem with your own internal forecast to arrive at a pricing output.
Okay.
Some more sophisticated revenue management systems also use airline statistics. Okay, so they have incoming airline data feeds of business on the books or seat reservations on the books for a future date range, which is also a precursor to the hotel demand. Another good example could be website visits that are happening on your own websites. So if you see more visits and not necessarily conversion happening, let's say people are dreaming about a holiday to Thailand because Phuket Sandbox has just opened, and already organizations like Forward Keys are forecasting a high number of Europeans increasing their website visits, displaying an intention to book these hotels in Phuket and in Thailand in Q4. Okay. Again, external data of this sort can assist the hotel to make adequate pricing decisions or to make product changes for Q4, because now they know the customers' traveling intent by utilizing and overlaying airline statistics over their internal data.
Yes, good example. Actually, external data, not necessarily I think a hotel needs to collect the external data, but they can collaborate with some partners who have the capability to capture the external data, for example, flights data, for example, some people's media use data, right? Or search engine data. So as long as that partner have a capability to capture those data and analyze those data, and then it worthwhile to enhance the collaboration, make them to provide or to help you to make better decisions. So external data, like it's, I mean, in my opinion, it's very, very useful, and it's lots of unexpected insights can be identified from that data set.
But again, it can also be risky to because there is a tendency to come up with correlations that do not exist. Sometimes if you have too much data, you're kind of forced to use it, and that can make your forecast inaccurate. So it's very important to understand which data is useful and not necessarily more is better.
Right? I agree. Thank you. Well, thank you, Mr. Jingdo, and thank you for coming to discuss with our learners. So this brings to almost the end of this live session. Thank you for participation, all the learners. It will be today is short, like 1 hour. It will be another session by the end of this month. So this conclude actually all the content we delivered over the past 8 weeks. In the coming rest of the weeks, you need to pay attention to the schedule of the final exam and all the assignments. And I'm glad you choose this course. And for the participants who haven't got a chance to register this subject, the next round will be in the September, so please pay attention to our advertisement and notification on Facebook as well as on the edX platform. All right, thank you very much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the session.
Thank you.